I completely forgot that the Pixel 8 was going to be announced today. And I was out doing things this morning and I came back, had some food, and I was sitting down about to enjoy my meal. And I said, hey, let me open YouTube. And oh, right there, Google event, whatever. So I was like, great, let me go ahead and watch it. And I came in right on the Pixel Watch. Don't really care about the Pixel Watch. And I don't know what came before that. Now, big thing to talk about. So apparently, and let me just make sure, because I did watch the event, but I took a screenshot when I saw it on the screen. The Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro are both going to get 7 years of OS upgrades. 7 years. That sounds like an amazing feat. Definitely something that is doable, especially when the system on a chip is controlled by the device and operating system manufacturer. But let's really think, is this something that we actually want? Is it something that people are going to use? Is it something that people are going to care about? So the first thing, and let's just say, hey, 7 years of support. So if Google were offering 7 years of support for its previous phones at this particular point, which phones would still be supported? And we're at the Pixel 8. So that means the Pixel 2 would still be supported right now. And let's just confirm. So the year that it came out, so the year the 2 came out, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 8. So for all of these years, it would still be supported. And as a person who still uses the Pixel 2 as a gym phone, so I go to the gym, play music from it, and that's it. I turn it off when I leave the gym. I would not want to use this as my primary device. In terms of form factor, the only thing that is good about it, since considering it's so old, is the fact that it's still a smaller device. And I like that. They could make the Pixel 8 smaller, but they chose not to. So, but yeah, this is a good device in terms of form factor and size. But in terms of functionality, I know that 7 years from now, I'm not going to say, oh, the Pixel 8 is still a great buy. Or, yeah, you can buy a used Pixel 8 because Google is still supporting it. But do you really want to? I mean, how much is it really going to cost, And that really, when it comes to the iPhone, and I know they're doing it because of Apple and potential EU regulations and even maybe regulations in the United States. With the iPhone, I think right now we're border like between 5 and 6 years. And you'll get one, you can get one for maybe like $100 or something. Maybe even less. I mean, heck, I got my iPhone SE for $85 and that just came out 3 years ago. So yeah, you do have to look at starting price and then longevity of support to really think about, okay, how much potentially could this cost in 6-7 years if you're looking at the used market. Not that that's what Google's talking about or concerned about. But I don't think that's something that really should be celebrated as much as Google and probably some critics are going to celebrate it. That Google has the numbers. They have the information. And I am curious for them to see, like, all right, for a device that isn't supported anymore, how many people are still using Pixel 2s? Now, I am one, and I happen to have a friend, Kevin. He is using his Pixel 2 XL every once in a while. I think he's kind of designated that as his work phone. But there's no reason to keep using this. Like, that's just really what it boils down to, that even though, yes, the battery still works, it needs to be replaced, I'll tell you that. There's just no reason, like, recycle it, allow them to melt it down, and then, yeah, let me get something newer. Like, there's just no reason to have something that long when it comes to technology. I mean, yeah, the chair that this camera's sitting on is who knows how old. This couch that's behind me, my dad grew up with that couch. And I'm in my grandmother's house, so my dad grew up with that couch. So that's, furniture, but cell phones, no. 7 years, I can't see why that really is something that they wanted to do. Now, in addition to me just saying, okay, it's just an old phone. The camera is not nearly as good as the newer ones, whether it's the rear camera, the front-facing camera. The battery is smaller, needs to be replaced. I mean, even when it was brand new, the battery was smaller, so battery life wasn't that great. It's running an older chip. So in 6 years, I'm going to say, well, the Google G3 Tensor 3 or whatever it's called, is just not a great chip anymore. So there's just so many things. And even if we look at modern devices, because I know I was talking about the iPhone, when it comes to this. When you have devices that are running the same hardware, but the device vendor chooses to software lock certain things, and the phones came out at the same time, you can only imagine how much Google is going to cripple the Pixel 8 in 6 years compared to the Pixel, 14 or whatever. You know, like it's not something that is useful. It's nice, cool, and it's nice for them to be able to say it. But I think, and please, I need to go back and watch the video, but since I'm making a video now, I want to just say it. The Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro both have modern, up-to-date cameras, whatever. But I think only the Pixel 8 Pro is getting video night sight. Is that a hardware limitation? I don't know. I can't imagine that it truly is. But hey, that's what they want to do. There's another feature, and again, I hope I'm not wrong, but there's something with the camera that I think you take the picture or the video or whatever, and it actually sends it off to Google servers to do the work. And then I think, it's stored up in your cloud or whatever. And then you have, that image or that video. And I want to say, and again, I please, I hope I'm not wrong. And if I do some research before I upload this, I'll put a little note here. But I want to say that was limited to just the Pixel 8 Pro. And it's like, well, wait a minute. If the work is being done on one of your servers, I should be able to do that on the Pixel 2 if I'm, taking the photo. If I'm taking the photo, like it shouldn't matter what I'm using here locally if the work is being done at your, using your supercomputers. Now, to talk about Apple very briefly, the iPhone 15s just came out. We have USB 3 only on the Pros. Okay, yeah, they put a USB controller directly on the A17 Pro. Okay, but as we've seen with the iPads of the past, the iPad mini right now has a USB 3 USB-C connector. It's running the A15 Bionic. It doesn't matter which version it is. That same chip is in one of the iPhones. And that iPhone that's running the same chip as that iPad mini doesn't have USB 3. And it's just implementations that don't need to be there. I'm having a hard time focusing. And I don't know why. We know why, but it's the company doing what they want to do, and they're imposing hardware and software restrictions just because. And you might say, well, the iPad has USB-C and the iPhone has Lightning. The first iPad Pro had Lightning and also had USB 3. So USB 3 over Lightning was possible, and Apple just chose not to do it. I don't know why it's having a hard time focusing right now. So all that to say, yes, great. You're going to support this phone for 7 years, but that phone is going to be, one, it's just not going to be the best experience for you, the user, running a device that is that old. Two, Google, even if they are pushing out security updates and operating system updates, and they even specifically said feature drops, there's no way that the Pixel 15 is going to give you, the user, the exact same experience as the Pixel 8 that many years from. It's just not going to happen. And in my notes here, I said, there are going to be software restrictions. There are going to be hardware restrictions that they'll impose, because they'll say, well, wait a minute, that hardware is the same. Why exactly is this doing something and that not doing something else? To go back to the iPhone, I do apologize. The iPhone 15 is running the same A-series chip that the iPhone 14 Pro is running. The iPhone 15 came out this year. The iPhone 14 Pro came out last year. There's something going on with the camera that the iPhone 15 is able to do that the iPhone 14 Pro is not. The chip is exactly the same. But Apple just said, well, the new phone gets this feature and the old phone doesn't. Google is going to do the exact same thing, but probably worse because it's Google. So I think I've done it. I've said enough about that. Don't get too excited about being able to have a phone that's 7 years old that's still supported. The user experience is going to be so degraded that the only positive thing about being able to support or actually supporting a 7-year-old device is saying that you are supporting a 7-year-old device. That's it. Cool. That's enough.